What is up, my fellow Tarhans? I'm Captain Beans and welcome to HighFleet Builds, where today I will be uncovering some secrets about the lightning right here. Now, this video is not necessarily a showcase of my own design. This is a showcase of a couple of vanilla ships that exist in the game files, but you won't be able to find in an actual playthrough. And today I will feature two secret versions of this lightning. And so, let's go! And so, right here, what you are seeing is the Lightning Mk2. This is the second version of the Lightning, where it features a couple of these R5 Zenith missiles, some of these Palash systems, which cover the entire ship. As you can see here, there are a bunch of those. And the ship also features these D80 Molot cannons, which shoot 130mm artillery, which is actually very welcome on this design. And I really like the addition of these guns because it increases the firepower of the Lightning, especially against some larger ships, which also have armor. And so this is going to do a lot more damage. And also, these cannons are actually fairly accurate, so if you can aim, these cannons are perfect. I also really like the use of these Palash systems because these cover the entire ship, and basically what Palash systems do is that they kind of destroy artillery shells mid-flight, and so this makes the Lightning be able to avoid some of the artillery fire, especially from some larger ships which use artillery. But the only minus of Palash systems is that they don't work on machine guns. But also what's nice about those is that these can actually recharge after being used in combat, and so that is actually really good, and it makes the Lightning a lot more powerful and can take a little bit more hits. And also these R5 Zenith missiles are also very handy against some armored ships to weaken them and to then finish them off with some gunfire. Okay, so enough of the description, let me actually show you how this thing works in actual combat. Alright, so right here are a couple of medium ships which hopefully the Lightning Mk2 should be able to handle because of its upgrades. Now I'm going in with regular ammo, high explosive, so I'm not using any specialized ammo. And so, let's go. Let's go, bitches! What y'all got? Okay, let's use the Zenith missiles on this Gladiator. Ooh, that did a number on him. So let's finish him off with the gunfire. He's dead. Now let's dodge those rockets. And you can see that the Palash systems have done a decent number on these artillery shells from the Intrepid. And so you can see also that these circles, which is the Palash systems, are also recharging, which is very nice. So I need to learn how to aim, but you can see that the grouping on 130mm shells is actually very close, so there you go. That's the Intrepid dead. Now this MRL Gladiator. I think he just crashed because there was a shipwreck from a different ship that was crashing onto him, and so yeah, he crashed. But let's take a look at the damage. So as you can see, the Lightning took very minimal damage, and I think it's because of these Palash systems. Now you'll also have seen you've also seen how the Zenith missiles work really well against something like a Gladiator. When these missiles, of course, hit the enemy ship. And so, I think that is a good example of some combat with medium ships. Let's go into combat with some small ships, and I'll show you one thing that I don't really like about this configuration of the Lightning. Alright, so here are a bunch of smaller ships. As you can see, there are a couple of Navarins, so there's also ballistic, and a couple of sluggers. Now, a lot of these ships have machine guns, which cannot be blocked by the Palage systems, and so I'll have to be careful. The sluggers are not so much of a big deal because they use artillery, which can be blocked. But, yeah. Let's see how this goes. Let's go! Alright, let's take out the Navarian first. Ooh, some friendly fire of the enemy. That's neat. Let's also see if we can go without using the Zenith missiles, because in a real life situation I would probably not use these missiles on such small ships. The Lightning is also a little bit slower because of all of these upgrades, but I can still dodge decently well, which that is not a good example, but okay. Actually, let's shoot these R5 Zenith missiles, maybe on the ballistic, and maybe on this Navarian. There you go. That did a number. Okay. That wasn't actually a super terrible fight, because I was able to dodge those machine guns. But the thing is, machine guns are pretty hard to dodge, and the Lightning is mostly made of aluminium, which is the orange hull pieces, and aluminium is pretty weak against machine gun fire, and the Palage systems cannot really defend against those. Now, I was hit with a rocket and not machine gun fire, but still, even if there wasn't a rocket, I would have probably taken at least some damage. But this fight was actually pretty good, and so I actually like it. And so, here is the Lightning Mk3, the third version of the Lightning. And as you can see, this thing is more oriented against missile and aerial defense, because this features these R9 sprint missiles, and also this fire control radar, which is supposed to control these right here. Now, this ship, similar to the Mk2, also features these R5 Zenith missiles, these Palage systems, and also these D80 Molot cannons, which is 130mm cannons. The only difference between this and the previous one is that this one now has these R9 sprint missiles. And I'll give you my opinion on this one. First impressions, I think this ship looks cool and very techy, and actually can probably defend itself against a couple of missiles. But with a little bit of preliminary tests that I've done before recording this video, I realized that this ship is not the best at combat, simply because I really do not like to have these R9 sprint missiles get lost in combat. These Palage systems do defend pretty well, but having these expensive components here on otherwise a combat ship, I don't really like that. And also, all of this stuff really slows the Lightning down and makes it harder to dodge stuff like bullets and missiles. Well, okay, let me show you how this thing performs in combat. Okay, so here are some more medium ships, and I'm also going to do this fight with just high explosive ammo without any specialized ammo. And so, let's go. Okay, now we have to be careful about this one because the Nimrod can use some proximity fuses against me. Let's use some R5 Zenith missiles against this Gladiator, because it's the most armored ship. And let's now focus fire on the Intrepid. The Intrepid is damaged but not dead just yet. Ooh, the Gladiator died. Probably from attrition damage. Alright, now the Nimrod. Alright, that was actually a pretty exemplary fight. Now this is also a slightly easier kind of garrison of heavy ships, but I think it's a good example. But still, I do not really wish to bring this exact design into combat. I would much prefer to use the Mk2 in combat. Now let me show you how this design performs against some missiles. Alright, and so, welcome to Gerard, where right now I'm going to test the Lightning Mk3 capability of intercepting some cruise missiles. Here I'm going to test how it is when the Lightning is landed, and here I'll test how it will do if the Lightning is flying. So let's first send a missile, actually two of them, at the landed Lightning. And then I'm going to send a couple of missiles at the flying Lightning. Alright, so the missile is about to hit the landed one, so let's see how this goes. That was really good. Now, I was also not using any proximity fuses for this, because I just wanted to see how this does with just the sprint missiles. Now this is the flying test. That was also a really good performance. Here's another flying test. Okay, damage report. Okay, so I managed to evade a lot of damage. The missile did not get completely destroyed by the sprint missiles, but I was able to at least move the Lightning away from a direct strike of the missile. And as you can see here, the damage it's substantial, but it's not deadly, not fatal. Okay, now let's do the second landed test. Alright, so the landed Lightning just completely died. And I think it's because the fire control radar, the small one, can only send one R9 sprint missile at the cruise missile. And that did not destroy the missile, and so the missile actually kept going and destroyed the Lightning. This would have been a much better intercept if the Lightning would have had proximity fuses, but I just didn't use any, just for the sake of a fair test. But yeah, a flying Lightning is much more likely to survive than a landed one, simply because you can fly away from a direct hit. Now okay, let's repeat this test, but this time I have equipped a Lightning with the proximity fuses, and so hopefully this lightning should have at least a better chance at surviving a cruise missile. This one is also landed, and so let's do this test again. I'm gonna send a couple of missiles and see how this goes. Alright, as you saw, the proximity fuses have finished off the missile, and the R9 sprint missile has only done some damage. Let's see how this performs a second time. Landed. So this test really shows that if the Lightning Mk3 is equipped with proximity fuses, it is much more likely to survive a missile strike or an aircraft strike. And because this thing can only send one R9 sprint missile at a time, it could theoretically defend itself against 6 cruise missiles, assuming that it would have enough proximity fuses to survive them. Let's also do a similar test, but flying. And a second time. The R9 sprint missiles have fully defended that missile. And so I think this should be a good enough test to show you that this Mk3, when equipped with proximity fuses, can survive a missile strike of up to 6 missiles, assuming that it has enough proximity fuses to do it. And so I think that's the Lightning Mk3. Now let's get back to the building site. And that's that. Personally, I like the Mk2 version of the Lightning a lot better, which is the one that you're seeing right here, and I might even make this upgrade in my Operation HighFleet playthrough, which is basically my hard difficulty playthrough with custom ships. I do use Lightnings, and so I might even make this upgrade onto one of them and make it slightly better at fighting larger ships. But I really don't like the Mk3 completely, simply because of its slightly lesser combat capability, and also just the fact that it has some expensive components, which I personally, in my opinion, I would not put on the Lightning. But let me know what you guys think. Is it worth it to use one of these right here over the regular Lightning? Or should we just fly around with a complete meme that is the regular Lightning without all of this fancy stuff right here? And that is going to be it for this one. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and thank you very much for watching. Tarhans, happy HighFleet!